The following show contains a fictional narrative that includes themes, events, and language that some may find distressing. Discretion is advised.
Welcome to This Line Isn't Secure. I am Libby. I'm your handler. Today we are doing not only an audio podcast, but a video podcast. Special edition today is audio and video, just like every other time. Moving on to introduce our cast. Ty, go ahead, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ty. I am playing Deputy Marshal Reed Hollis, a.k.a. Agent Millstone.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlie. I'll be playing Adam Blackburn, aka Agent Meridian.
Hey y'all, I am playing FBI forensic psychiatrist Dr. Alexander Shoemaker, also known as Agent Merchant, and traveling as FBI Special Agent Edmund Chamberlain.
And I, Hawk, will be playing the wonderful Agent Miranda, aka Heather Stoddard, aka Hannah Cardholder, freelance mathematician, circuit doer, electronics pretender to understander. You know, she's the techie.
And now we will pass to Hawk for our recap.
Absolutely. M-Cell continued their exploration of the McAllister building by diving down into the basement and checking the storage lockers there. Only one held any items of particular interest, the locker in Thomas Manuel's name, which contained what passed for his studio. His paintings showed some lack of talent, but a familiar face. The strange shape of the white-faced clown that the cell had seen when they were back in Washington Square Park was present in at least one of his paintings, as well as a few other achingly familiar figures. These paintings, plus some linseed oil, paint thinner, and other accelerants, was about all they found. They returned back to the rest of the group, where they split into two teams. Millstone and Miranda to investigate the room more, continuing to catalog the objects on the wall, while Meridian and Merchant did their due diligence visiting the other apartments and other inhabitants of the McAllister building. Having already spoken with Thomas Manuel, they continued to the next of the inhabitants on their list, Roger Caroon, a science fiction author of some acclaim, a somewhat pompous individual who informed the group that he was beginning a new project that he was calling his Little Red Book, a children's story, to hear him tell it. He also made mention of Abigail having a New Year's Eve party that went rather badly. At least, it went rather loudly. From there, Merchant and Meridian continued onward and spoke with Louis Post, a draftsman, a bit of a shut-in who was unwilling to show them his work, but indicated that it was work that was of a less mainstream variety than Abigail. Now, to hear the curator back at the Mercury Gallery say, her work was already a little bit disturbing, so what could his work entail? While they continued their investigation and interviews, the slow and tedious work of cataloging the apartment continued, and Miranda and Millstone had a long, heartfelt discussion about the virtues of ignorance, and more specifically, just not thinking about it. The last occupant of the McAllister building, Michelle Van Fitz, also proclaimed herself to be a writer, in possession of stacks and stacks of books. She took a particular dislike to Agent Meridian immediately and was hostile to him throughout their interaction. But when she mentioned that she had placed Faraday cages around the electronics in her home, Merchant saw an opening and suggested that they bring Agent Miranda on board to investigate. Miranda successfully distracted her while Merchant was able to investigate some of the books, finding a little red book in her possession titled A World Without Doors. Drawn to it, feeling strangely compelled by it, Merchant pocketed it, and the group bid farewell to Michelle and went back to the apartment to continue their search. Throughout the long day of cataloging, the numerous items on the wall proved to be of little interest except for one strange thing. A ticket, an airplane ticket, for a flight from Vegas to Boston under the name of Michael Whitweir. This wouldn't have been so astounding if it weren't for the date on the ticket. 2015. 20 years in the future. Not something most airlines will hold a reservation for. As they began to pack up for the day, put away their portable cameras and evidence bags, the group was interrupted by a noise at the door. When the doors opened, they saw the writer, Roger Caroon, standing there with a stuffed blue cat in his hand. The cat was instantly recognizable to Millstone, who gave chase as Roger Caroon ran up and up the stairs to the McAllister building to the roof door. The whole M cell lagged behind, following up to that door, and as he burst through it and disappeared, they paused for just a moment on the threshold. When Agent Millstone opened the door and stepped through, it was not onto a Midtown Manhattan roof, but rather into a smoky room where a bartender accosted them and asked, "Now who the fuck are you?"
The door should have led to the rooftop. Instead, warmth spills out at you. Deep lamplight, thick cigar smoke, the slow crackle of a burning hearth. The ceiling stretches much too high, the walls wrapped in burgundy leather and velvet wallpaper. A massive fireplace flickers along the far wall, its glow carving long, shifting shadows into the deep red carpet. The air is heavy, old, spiced liquor, aged wood, something faintly sweet beneath the smoke. The man at the bar is mid-pour, a stream of amber liquid slipping into his glass. His sleeves are rolled up, his posture loose, casual, but his eyes are locked onto you. He doesn't move faster, he doesn't hesitate. He just watches, unreadable. Then, as his liquor reaches the rim, he says, "Who the fuck are you?"
Reed is frozen in place, bringing up the front of the line of M-Cell agents entering this impossible space for the first time. By the time he's able to bring his wits about him, he just looks over to the gentleman at the bar and says, Who the fuck am I? Where the fuck are we?
Did you piss your
Where the
pants,
fuck
little man? You're the smoking lounge. The bathroom is back that way if you need to go change your adult diaper. He starts walking over to a very large, overstuffed chair with his drink in hand.
Reed looks behind him to see if the rest of his cell is seeing what he's seeing. He's absolutely out of his mind, out of his depth. He can't believe what he's seeing. He's completely lost touch with reality in this moment.
All of you definitely see this space that should certainly be the roof of the McAllister, as there is no fourth floor, but you are deeply within some kind of old smoking lounge. All of you are in this together. It's very clear you're all experiencing probably the same things.
Merchant will take a step in and kind of touch some of the surfaces just to see, is this a visual hallucination, or are we looking at like this is really here?
Yeah, good question. I think that a fun question we will get to answer together with our listeners and all of you together is, what really is? And so this probably is. It certainly feels is-ish. There is wall, there is the smells, there's like I mentioned, it's multiple smells, multiple sounds, multiple atmospheres. It feels like a place that is real. There's a bunch of stuff here, to be fair. I mean, the walls are very busy as is, but there are lots and lots of bookshelves as well in this room. Really everywhere, all over the walls. It does seem like there's also a hallway that leads out of the smoking lounge into what is likely more space that is impossible.
Reed immediately turns around and goes to check, firstly, the character and visage of the other side of the door, which he has not seen yet. The other side of the inside side of the door that he just came through. And then furthermore is going to check to see that it still opens back out onto the McAllister.
Yep, the door matches perfectly the interior of this space. Rosewood, pretty gaudy. When you open the door, which opens just as it did before, the other side is a typical roof door, metal, probably nothing in substance inside, a metal kind of hollow core garage or roof door. It is physically impossible, in case it's not clear, that this door was ever created. It is a horrific piece of whatever it is. Fantastic taste, or fantastic execution, but terrible taste. That's the thing. Yeah.
Reed's just going to kind of saunter back inside and let the door close behind him and just kind of wait for someone else to validate the existence of these circumstances.
You hear from the oversized chair a chuckle, wry chuckle, and then, "You guys, you're always so fucking surprised." Oh. You see the man in the chair who's facing away from you is looking at some kind of book. He's flipping a page now. He brings a drink to his hand. An ashtray nearby him allows some smoke to drift from it. A cigar there.
Does this man appear familiar in any way?
Yeah, I think so. Answer me this. Do you think that Merchant is an avid enjoyer of movies and media, pretty well versed, do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy looks like a 1930s, 1920s kind of guy. He's dressed in a certain way. The lounge certainly matches that vibe as well. He's got the transatlantic kind of thing going on as well with his voice. Even though Libby may not be doing a very good job of that, he does. He certainly has the kind of radio nasally thing that is common from that era. So it would be no stretch to assume that he is from the 1930s somehow.
But we have not seen him in a picture or anything on the wall.
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
Miranda clears her voice at the back of the group and says, excuse me, sir? Have you seen a man with a stuffed cat pass through? We're looking for Mr. Karoon, actually.
You see that hearing your voice, the book lowers a little bit. And again, he's facing away from you, so you've kind of got a profile of his arm and the side table next to him. He lowers his book a little bit. You see that he fumbles with something in front of him. You hear the sound of a chain, a small chain, and then the popping of a watch open. Yeah, he doesn't leave here for another 18 years or so. Maybe.
He doesn't leave here for another 18 years or so? Could you explain the tense in that sentence to me?
I certainly could, but I'd much prefer to read my book and drink my fucking drink. So you can just consider or ponder over there. Thanks. The drink gets set down, picks up the cigar. Smoke.
Okay. Are you an inhabitant of the McAllister building, sir?
The book slaps shut. He puts it down. Stands up. Turns to face you now. He's mid-40s, aged man wearing a 1930s style, maybe G-man kind of suit. Very, very well looking and seems to have a certain air about him. Certainly is pompous from the interaction you've had so far. No, I'm not.
And you would introduce yourself as...
What's your name, sweetness? Maybe I'll take that first.
My name's Hannah Cardholder, special consultant, FBI.
Oh, all right, sure. That's possible. A woman G-man, a G-woman. That's funny. And not true, obviously. Fuck it.
Consultant, sir, not agent.
Oh, sure. Then maybe you ought to consult the bar on my next drink. Goes to the chair, sits back down, opens the book.
Meridian immediately has had enough of disrespect for him and the entire team, will essentially kick the chair on the side and say, "Where's Karoon, asshole?"
The chair, moves a little bit while he's in it, and as you walk up and you kick the chair, you can kind of see over your shoulder a little bit, not a lot of it, but a little bit, and what he is reading is probably best described as wildly pornographic, but that would not be accurate enough, surely. from what little you see before he slams the book closed in anger, it is something. It is of a new variety and kind that would certainly disgust even the hardest of criminals in the hardest of places. He turns to look at you and says, "You know, I know it's a big place. Quite large, in fact. It's been mapped once or twice, but it's been quite a long time before anyone's gone into your mom's asshole." And he stands up, throws his drink against the one of the bookcases. It shatters. He's like, "I can't die, fuckface. I don't know what you think is going on here, but you look stupid in whatever the fuck clothes you're wearing. What are you, some kind of fucking actor or something? Get the fuck out of here." He starts to walk back to behind the bar and make another drink.
Pretty puzzled at this point. Like, can't die? What?
Death is so fucking stupid. You're stupid. That's what's stupid. You're fucking stupid. And he puts down, he had the implements of making another drink. He puts it down. He walks over to you, still kind of like giving you the evil, judgmental eyeballs, snatches his cigar out of the ashtray and puffs on it, walks back behind the bar. He's like, "Now I'm going to make a drink for myself. Would you like one? I've got water."
Reed finally gets the presence of mind to be able to pipe up and be like, "All right, I'm gonna lay this out because I'm tired of listening to you.
Lay it out.
We were just in an apartment building. We walked through that door. That should be a roof door. And now we're here. What is this place? How did this place get here? Who the fuck are you?"
You know, if I wanted to read books that had questions in them, I would just look at your family tree. Now, it's really, really questionable in its entirety that you believe that there's no roof on a building of this size. You are just... You must be some kind of sap that I'm not aware of. A new kind, perhaps. Where's your dunce hat, man? He now has finished making his drink, and he says, "Oh, and another thing. Fuck yourself." Sits back in his chair, opens his book.
Reed is so fucked in the head at this point, and it just kind of snaps into his awareness. I remember what I came here to do. I remember why we ended up here in the first place. And he turns to the group and says, I gotta find that guy. I gotta find Karun.
Understood.
Does someone want to come with me?
We're all leaving this asshole behind. I get it. There's no point unless someone wants to put his claim to the test of interrogating someone this hostile who doesn't respect our credentials. So, as far as I'm concerned, we should head out. I don't think we're going to get anything useful out of him, and I don't feel like a drink or any kind of light reading.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck are credentials here anyway? I need to find him. I don't know how to stress enough how much I need to find him right now.
Then that is what we will do. There's only one way out, right? Hallway. Let's just head down the hallway.
Reed takes up the front.
As you walk in, you hear, as you begin walking toward it at least, you hear him say, "Off to the big adios. Enjoy." And you, looking in front of you, see what appears to be a very long hallway of the same kind of variety that the smoking lounge is of. It's not quite as flamboyant or loud, but it is still a 1930s style hotel. Plenty of carpets that are plenty too much. Plenty of smells that you wish just weren't as plenty. You don't see any clear signs of Karun. You don't see any, there's no trail of, blue cat fur. But it seems like the hallway only goes one way. How fast do you think Reed is moving at this point? Is he like speed walking, running, regular walking?
Reed's got a measure of cautiousness that comes from years of training and being in the field, but he is also frantic. So he's moving at probably a staggered medium pace, trying to balance those two impulses as they battle each other.
Okay, got it. Meridian,
yes.
As you are all walking into this hallway, this long hallway, hotel hallway or whatever it is, you, with your 80 alertness, you see that you see and hear that this guy, unknown man, he looks at the door that you came through, the roof door, and he says under his breath, "Hope that fucking dog doesn't get in behind them, damn it." And unless you want to take action based on that, that's all you hear or see in that moment.
I've had enough interaction with disrespectful individuals at this point, so no.
Yeah. That guy is quite the guy. We'll get more of him, don't worry.
Can I cut in and ask something? Miranda is sort of lagging behind everyone because that guy's an asshole, and assholes can lie, but as a rule, hardware doesn't. She's going to try and spot any light switches in particular and see what style they are from what period to see if they match his costume.
Great. Yeah, thankfully before the session I prepared on 1930s light switch models. So I'm happy to say that it's the third one, the third 1930s light switch, very well known third model.
You could just say it's time appropriate for the 1930s.
No.
Okay, so it's probably the push button ones or a knife switch.
I really like Libby's tongue-in-cheek way of saying
it's
that.
certainly number 3.
It's the third one.
Yes, an inextricable part of his GMing style.
That's true.
It is the third one.
If it was the second one, it wouldn't be unnatural.
Yeah, exactly. You would know at that point. Oh, this is super real.
Like, we're just in a different room.
Oh,
no,
this is just a flip. Oh, okay.
It's period appropriate. Yeah, I got you.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. It is definitely period appropriate. Yes. Yep. So you all make your way down this hall following Reed, who is stomping. Well, not stomping, but I would say decidedly stepping down this hall. Decidedly stamping, perhaps a crunkle or two, down the hall. There is, after a little bit, this feeling that washes over you, Reed. And the feeling is, I don't think Reed has felt panic in a while. I think maybe you and I both know where Reed maybe last felt panic. But certainly it's been a while. So you're not sure, necessarily, if this is panic or not. But something's with you. Something is sitting with you now. And it's certainly not surety. It's certainly not this idea that you are walking in a long hotel hallway anymore. So you look behind you, quickly, glancing just to make sure. And behind you, there is a T. The hall that you're in runs back to a T and then goes left and right. You have taken no turns on this walk yet. You have walked straight down a hallway. Go ahead and roll sand.
Everyone?
No, not yet. Unless Reed points it out to you, but she might.
16 under 65.
Nice. Yeah, you lose no sand. But you do notice
totally
now.
Fine with this.
Yeah, okay, great. You're not probably not bringing it up at all. You're like, we're moving, right?
So to be clear, this T intersection is behind me from back where we came?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You would have had to walk through a wall to be where you are now.
Oh, so there's a wall and a split down the length where the length of the hall was. Okay.
Correctamundo.
Yeah. And what's ahead of me?
When you turn back to look in front of you, yeah, there's more hallway. There's more hallway now. It seems like now, a moment ago when you were looking right in front of you, the hall was just going on and on forward. Now it seems that in front of you there is what looks like a T intersection, like a junction, a four-way junction, that was not there previous.
Okay, so to be clear, there's now a T behind me and in front of me?
Yeah, I think T is maybe a wrong way. Let's go with this. An uppercase T is behind you, and a lowercase t is in front of you. There's a plus sign kind of junction in front of you.
Got it. And the plus sign, does it go all the way down or does it dead end?
No, it goes all the way down. But you would have seen it by now, certainly, if it was there before. It's pretty prominent.
Okay. So Reed kind of has a moment where he's had to process multiple impossibilities so far, and he is realizing that the utility of expediting the process of coming to terms with these things, that so action can be taken more quickly and decisively. Because if he takes the time that he needs to process these things fully, nothing's going to get done. And so he sets that particular impossibility to the side for the moment, decides not to deal with it, and starts looking for the nearest door.
Great. What is Reed's charisma? Times 5, I suppose. Well, yeah, what's your charisma score, actually? Sorry.
It's not great. 50%. It's charisma of 10.
How do you think that Reed's focus would be less on leading or less on appearing to be in charge or in control and more on finding? I'm trying to gauge at what point your friends realize that you're no longer leading them and you're just as lost as they seem to be.
Reed does generally concern himself with the appearance of being a leader or being somebody to follow. But in this moment, the compounding mental strain of dealing with the circumstances that surround him, combined with the stress and panic of the chase that he's engaged in, have completely ousted that from his mind.
Great. So pretty quick into your jaunt, the other three of you realize, Merchant, Meridian, and Miranda all realize that this is no longer a guided tour or a guided mission. This is walking in a space that you've been kind of afraid to mention is changing in front of you. But you may, at this realization, feel a little bit more confident in bringing up that concerning point.
Mill?
Yeah.
Where do you think Karun is?
I don't know. How could I know?
That's okay.
I mean, he's here.
He's here. There's at least one other person here who knows him. Maybe there's other people. We have no fucking idea what this place is, how it works, why it is, why it works. But you know what we do kind of know? People. Let's find some, right, Mill?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. We need to find someone else. I mean, there's doors everywhere.
Exactly. Let's start knocking one at a time. Either we find somebody or we don't, but it's better than walking.
Wait, there's doors everywhere. I wonder. Merchant starts fishing around in his stuff for that photograph of the hotel brothel bin.
Mm-hmm.
And fishes out and kind of hands it over. I don't read maps well, but are we here?
Here seems like a useless turn of phrase when you're in a place that can change around you. And unless we have a map that changes with it, I'm not sure it's good for wayfinding. I'm down to try, but it strikes me as a poor representation of what actually is happening here, if that's the case.
You said a photo. Did you mean a photo or did you mean a map?
A photo of the map, because he would have tagged the map itself and left it with the evidence, but he would have kept the photo on him.
I gotcha. Yeah, this is certainly not the hotel brothel bin. You don't know much about the brothel bin. I mean, none of you are architecture people, I don't think, in any meaningful way. So it's not like you can well match the floor plan to the decor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be your only help, I think, in this situation. And because really, I mean, like the idea of, as Miranda has well put, the idea of being somewhere means that somewhere is the same, has the same beginning and end point-ish. And this place has rules of space that are they are quite an affront.
Unfixed.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, yeah, probably not this. Yeah, probably not this.
Is Millstone's banging on or knocking on doors getting any response, or is it quiet?
The first two doors don't, but when you bang on the third one, Millstone, the door, you bang on it and it opens. It was opened ajar a little bit, so when you hit it, it just opens all the way up. And at the end of another long hall that stretches out in front of you, you see Karun. He's got the blue cat again, and it looks like he's got it very close to his face, and he's like stroking it and maybe talking to it or whispering to it or something like that. Can't hear him. You're probably at least 100 yards away. It's very, very long from here to where he is, but you can see him. It's definitely him.
The halls are carpeted?
Yes.
Can he see me?
He could see you, but he's not looking in your direction.
Reed is going to, as much presence of mind as he's able to dedicate to making his footfalls as quiet as possible, he is going to sprint toward Karun and try to tackle that man to the ground.
Gotcha. Before we maybe make a roll or not, the three of you, Meridian, Merchant, and Miranda, you all see that this has just happened. He's pushed the door open, looks like he saw, and now he's booking it quiet sprint style. Are the three of you going to be following, and if so, in what fashion? Beginning, as always, with Meridian.
We'll definitely follow Agent Millstone immediately.
Okay. Go ahead, Merchant. At this point, we're here.
Yep. Same.
Okay, nice.
Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So the boys are boys and they're running. And so what is Heather doing back here? Just observing, trying to get some more information.
Yeah, comes to a stop, stands, puts her back to the wall, closes the door they came through.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't close it all the way, actually. She like holds it like partially closed so that anyone who has to get through it has to like wrench it open, and she like watches from where she's standing. She tries to keep her eyes on them.
Got it. So you're holding the door kind of open behind you and watching down the hall at the boys.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it. All right. Are Meridian and Merchant trying to do the quiet sprint, or are you full on sprinting? Loud mode.
I will follow Millstone's foot like cadence at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
Okay.
Won't try to compromise him.
Sure. I missed the day in handler class where I was supposed to know what running quiet is on the skills. But why don't each of you make a roll that you believe is indicative of that skill, whether it's military science or your athletics or your stealth or whatever you'd like it to be.
What if it's just like a Dex 5 roll combined with a luck roll?
I mean, luck is...
Roll a skill so you can level.
Yeah, we need
that's
some
right. There you
skills.
go.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
right. Yeah.
I do need to roll some skills. Okay, I'm gonna roll.
He said stealth or athletics or military science. I think all those make sense here. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna go athletics.
Yeah, I'll go with athletics also.
I will be focusing on stealth.
Gotcha.
24 under 80.
Seems all right.
72 over 50.
Damn.
95 over 10.
I will say
Come on, Mary.
Arkham.
Super quiet.
You observing from the rear, you can tell which of these three is a trained killer, and who is not. It's practically uncanny to watch Meridian bound up the hall in less noise than either of the others are making, and he pretty quickly and easily flashes by Millstone. I think, I hate to put words in you guys' mouth, but I think that as Meridian is passing Millstone, maybe he would say something like, "What's the plan?"
On your left? Oh,
yeah, well,
sorry,
that too. Yeah.
On your left, yeah.
Yeah. What's the plan, or what do I do to the guy? You know, like something like that. Like, are there instructions that you want as you pass by, and what would Millstone say?
I mean, I think that as fast as he's going, there would absolutely be no way for me to covertly relay instructions.
Oh
to him.
yeah,
But
no, not covert.
I think that Reed is just going to leave it to the deductive skills of this man to presume what my intentions were.
I would like the scribe to please notate.
For good or ill.
I would like the scribe to notate this moment in history when we trusted the deduction skills of our fine Meridian. Meridian, you're zooming, my friend. You get up there to him very quick amount of time. When you're about 20 yards in closing, he looks up, sees you running. He drops the cat and runs into a door that is right in front of him on the hallway. Runs into a door, and you hear the door slap against its mooring, slap against the frame, and kind of retort as if the door doesn't have a way to like latch closed. It kind of just slaps against and then opens a little bit. And from inside, you can hear this kind of crashing and booming and sound of mechanical things toppling, perhaps. It's weird and stark and nothing you've really heard like that before. It sounds very tinny and like very, very metallic in nature. Do you want to follow him?
Yeah.
Do you want to? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I will, but I will not run directly into the door. I will open it and like point it directly, my gun at the door to make sure there's no ambush or whatever.
Okay, got it. Real fast, I want to cut back to Miranda. At this point, you've now seen that they're going to go in this room, or at least certainly one of them is. What, are you still here hanging onto this door?
No. As soon as I see that they're starting to go into another room, I start booking. I close it behind me as firmly as I can. If it latches, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. And then I book it down the hallway towards them.
Okay.
I don't want to lose sight of them.
When you try to close the door behind you, you feel it kind of thud against something in the way. It won't close.
Yeah, I turn back over my shoulder to look.
One of the nozzles that you saw when the men were fumigating the McAllister is jammed in the door, You look back, and the nozzle quickly slips back out of the door, and the door shuts behind you.
I back away from the door for a couple of paces before I turn and book it down the hallway towards the others.
Great. You feel like your left ankle is wet, and it's worse than just that because you're now fight or flight in multiple ways and are unsure if it's worth the time to stop and see why your ankle feels wet or if you're just sweating bullets.
Yeah, no, I'm catching up with the group before I check myself.
Okay, got it. Meridian, when you stand up, or not stand up, when you look up at the door, you've got your gun out and you're checking the frame and preparing. The door, stenciled on the door, there is a label, and it says projection on the door. And about this point, your friends are 20 yards away, so you could wait for them a couple more seconds or just head in now. It's totally up to you.
Yeah, I'm not rushing into anything at this point. I don't know where I am, so I need all the backup I can get.
Reed is just now approaching Meridian from behind and kind of trying to peek around him to what's going on inside of the room and assess the situation.
At about the time that you and Merchant arrive and you make contact with Meridian, you okay? Yeah, we're okay. That thing that happened. Yeah, we're good. Okay, we're going. Yeah, let's go. That happens. And then the door starts to move open from the inside or become open from the inside. Swing open is wrong. I think swing is a very quick and almost jarring thing. It's not that. Someone's opening the door from the inside slowly. You've got maybe a couple of seconds to react. Do any of you want to do anything before whatever's opening this door has it opened?
Reed will impulsively draw his pistol.
Okay. That's two guns. Is there any desire for Merchant to have a firearm as well?
Merchant is carrying his chemical agent and will put his hand on the shoulder of probably Millstone standing in front of him and extend the chemical agent out, ready to blast the door and let them handle the rest.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So the door opens slowly. A small woman in coveralls steps out of the door very slowly, not fast, very slowly, very not zombified, but very, very lackadaisically, very slowly, not matching well the idea that someone just ran in there. It's, again, super duper stark in comparison to what you've been going through the past 30 seconds. And when the door is open and she begins stepping out, just massive droning sound of machinery echoes into the hall. It's not the same kind of hearing damage as, firing a pistol indoors near somebody, but it's super duper loud. It's almost painful. It's whirring mechanical sound. And she just steps into the cusp and just outside the cusp of the door, standing there, and slowly turns her head to look at you. All three of you stacked up there. At about this time, Miranda arrives as well.
Miranda reaches the back of the group and does not look past them. She figures they've got in front covered.
Mm-hmm.
She, as she has made a habit of, turns around to watch behind them. And when she does, she also pauses and glances down at whatever liquid has soaked into her, the cuff of her left pant leg.
Yeah, it looks like watered down strawberry jam.
Great. Lovely. She touches it.
Yeah, it is certainly watered down strawberry jam, if it's anything that you have any idea about.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, she doesn't taste it, as tempting as that is, but definitely smells it, whatever, and is doing that while whatever happens with the rest of the group and the noise and the figure they have found.
Okay. It smells safe. The three of you in front of you, there is a woman. If you had to guess, you'd say probably mid to late 20s. The coveralls are hard to put a date on, but they're not 1990s coveralls, which are hardly a thing, I think. Certainly not something you see very often, except for farmers. Whenever you see a farmer, I suppose that is when you see coveralls. So this is a little odd. It also looks like she's not wearing clothes underneath the coveralls. She's just wearing coveralls. And she's turned to look at you. Her eyes, she's kind of got this jaundiced skin. You're not sure if it's the lighting or lack of light fixtures or whatever's going on that's making her look jaundiced and very unhealthy, but the malaise is present. She doesn't say anything. She's just looking at you, all three of you stacked up.
Merchant will get her attention. Ma'am, did you see a man go into this room? He had a blue stuffed cat.
She cups her hands behind her ears, and she points into the projector room. She spins on her heel and begins walking down the hall away from you, the way that you would have gone if you had gone past this room. Keeps moving, starts walking. All
Merchant
of you spend a moment dumbfounded. Okay.
Yeah, Merchant will tilt his head toward a Millstone, who is definitely the one driven to find this guy, and kind of give the, huh?
Yeah. And Millstone goes to move forward into the room.
Do you take the front position from Meridian, or do you tap him and tell him to go first?
Yeah.
You take the front?
This is Reed's chase. He's going to take up the front.
Okay. Great. Nice. You turn into the room. There is a pretty typical projection room, an older theater style projection room. There's a bunch of machines here. Yeah, the guns sweep as you enter. There's tons of machines here. A lot of them are knocked over. A very large projector is spinning very loudly. And there are two small windows. One is where the projection light is exiting, and then there's one just to the side of it that is kind of a view for the audience, or a view to see out and not look down the projector if you had to do that. There's nothing else in this room, and there's not even any doors in this room that would continue further. The room itself is probably no bigger than maybe a living room. It's pretty small in size.
So then Reed's going to go for the only even remotely conceivable point of egress, which is that viewing window, and peer through it.
Yeah. Oh boy. I think this is actually much cooler if we do it this way. Meridian and Merchant, you watch Agent Millstone, who up until this point has been not unflappable, but a leader and well-maintained. He walks up to the window and looks through it, and is almost immediately experiencing a set of emotions that only come with feelings called trauma, loss, mourning, sorrow. It's honestly close to a sanity roll on your own, just to see whatever he's seen has done to him in this moment. I'll let you think about how you'd like to act, as I now tell everyone what Millstone sees. Millstone, you can't see what's on the screen. Much too bright. You do see that there's a woman dressed in this gold and silver garb. You're not sure if you call it a toga or a robe or a dress or a cape. You don't know, but a bunch of flowy fabrics, and you see that this person is pulling out tufts of her own hair, and you take a breath, putting them on the stage, throwing them on the stage, and is singing what sounds like a nursery rhyme. The rhyme goes something like this. Hush, hush, the night is thin. Lock the door, don't let them in. Soft they creep and soft they call. One by one we lose them all. And at about the time she finishes that stanza, almost all of her hair is gone. Bloody bits of scalp and hair are now on the stage in a pile. And turns to face you from the front row and takes off this white mask, starts taking off this white mask. And you don't even need this person to take off the mask. You know exactly who this is. And it is a moment that will forever live behind the eyelids of Reed Hollis. And so the mask isn't even important to be taken off, but just as it clears the lips that you know very well, the projector fizzles, pops, and turns off, stops whirring, and the sound stops. And and that is what you see. That's what everyone sees. I mean, through Reed, it's a lot. What is Damn, what does Reed do?
Reed crumples onto his knees, and he is sobbing uncontrollably. He is just completely lost it. Reed's gone, and in his place is pure grief.
Yeah, I think that likely the three of you hear Reed. In the silence, in the dark, you hear Reed, and the sound of Reed is more than enough
He's heaving.
more than enough to put all of you on edge. So I think all of you should make a sand roll at this time.
I would imagine I'm included in that.
You know what, Shocker? I think you are.
33 under 61.
We have a two from Hawk and Miranda, and what about the two of you over there?
That is a 2 under 59.
Okay. All right, let's have Reed for last this time since it's a little more thematic. What about you, Merchant?
It couldn't be a more perfect roll.
Oh wow!
If it tried to be.
The fate.
It is a critical 66 over 65.
Wee.
Magical.
That's wild as hell.
That is magical. That's
wild
the
as
magic
hell.
of this game, man. I live for moments like that. That's great.
42
wow.
under 64.
Gotcha. All right, so that it sounds like everybody succeeded, some critically except for Reed. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Reed, the most
Yeah.
insulting crit fail that he could possibly have gotten, and I think
Yeah.
it's perfectly fitting for what he just experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. Talk to me
Yeah.
about how the three of you are going to build Reed back from his 6 lost sanity.
6.
So for
that's what I'm taking here.
Mm-hmm.
temporary insanity.
So yeah, I mean,
It is.
Reed just hit a breaking point.
Oh wait, yeah. Wow.
Reed stills his sobbing for long enough to pull himself up off of the floor and retrieve his pistol off of the floor beside him. And he pulls himself back up to that window that he can now no longer even deign to peek through. And he braces himself with his left hand against the wall and begins to bash the butt of his pistol against the glass of the window. And when that doesn't succeed, he just starts throwing himself fists right into the window, just bashing it with his fists. Blood starts flowing down his arm, and then it starts spraying off of his hand as he's just ruthlessly, relentlessly wailing against this glass that will not give.
Seeing the blood spray, Merchant springs into action and begins to walk steadily, but not with any jerky motions or anything, but just steadily toward Millstone, quietly just saying, Millstone? Millstone, getting more
Fucking come
urgent
near me.
with each time. Doesn't go near to touch him, but swings around to his peripheral, and with a successful 38 under 60 on psychotherapy, begins to de-escalate him, just listening and just making just ever those brief contacts, edging slower until he's able to put his hand on Millstone's arm without getting beaten for it. But just begins just standard de-escalation with him, not forcing anything, not forcing him to feel anything, but just using all the skills he's picked up as a psychotherapist, as a psychiatrist, and as an FBI agent.
And I think at that point, Reed is bloodied and tired and exhausted mentally and physically enough to just fall back onto the floor and just hang his head between his legs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's back to feeling it.
Merchant will crouch down next to Millstone and just with one arm on the shoulder, just sit with him in the silence until he's ready to do something other than sob, just to be that comforting presence.
Okay, got it.
Millstone eventually is able to pull his head up, red, tear-streaked face, and looks up at Merchant out of the corner of his eye and says, "We gotta find that fucking Karun guy."
We will, my friend. We will. Let me take a look at your hands, and I'll perform a first aid action on
I'm
his
fine.
bloodied hands.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Reed holds his hands up.
Yeah. Merchant knows the age-old adage, heads and hands. Lots of blood, not much of a cut. This little baby one's all over. Spend some time, make sure there's no glass still living there, and give him a couple of bandages. I think at this time, quick clot was still a thing that they gave people. So a little quick clot on there, and he's doing all right. Should be fine. He's not going to be doing any weightlifting anytime soon, but he's not going to bleed out or anything.
Just want to make sure nothing's broken.
Yeah, no. I mean, his skin. But no bones.
Meridian will look towards Merchant and say, is the horse lame?
No, he's with us. He just took a beating, though.
Let's keep it like that.
Okay. That sounds like Meridian maybe takes the lead out of the room. Steps out in the hall, perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay. You step out into the hall. The feeling that you are lost now is sinking in pretty deep. As you step out of the door, you almost trip as you see a small staircase in front of you that goes down probably 10, 15 feet.
I will start heading down, I guess, yeah.
Okay. The three of you see into your Meridian, take a sigh, and then move down the stairs. What would you all like to do?
Are the stairs the only option out of this door now?
Yes.
Then Merchant will simply guide Millstone forward and just kind of walk one step behind.
Okay.
Yeah. He's just going to follow along and just kind of allow himself to be guided. All his leadership instincts are, for once, being allowed to kind of be put to the side, and he's effectively catatonic in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And Miranda, what's the view? How do you feel?
Miranda has sort of watched this transpire. Like, this is so far out of her area of expertise that she doesn't know what to do. There was a moment where she was like, I'll inspect the projector, but like, what's that actually going to tell her? And so she just stands back, watches and waits, and thinks. She thinks about, as she often does, numbers. Well, not numbers, sets. The idea of sets and what it means for a set of things to be mutable. Putting in that term, she comforts herself a bit. She uses the strange illogic of higher level maths to ignore what's happening to the human being that is being patched up both physically and mentally, right just a few feet from her.
Yeah, it's Heather's ultimate mindfulness exercise. Nice. Okay, all right.
Think about the set of sets.
Yeah.
Real hard.
That's right. They do be existing. All right. You make your way down the stairs. All of you, probably in a new emotional space. All four of you now have experienced trauma through somebody else. And it's, even I would say Meridian would probably have a little bit more trouble closing his eyes tonight. But as you hit the bottom of the stairs, you see there's another hallway that just seems to go on for a very, very long time. There is no clear, discernible doorways or pathways that branch off, and so you are doomed to walk down an endless hallway or back the way you came, which would be into a projector room at this point. Maybe, or maybe not.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
Agreed. At some point, we'll figure out if there's a logic to this place, or we'll discover there is none, and either way, down's as good as any.
Okay. I think all of you may have at some point find the perturbation of reality comforting, which is an odd thing to imagine. It's an odd thing to think that, some amalgamation of dream, nightmare, and legend are somehow providing you guidance, a gentle feeling. But for a moment, each of you feel within your soul that it just kind of is what it is. And that is indeed the thing that probably penned all those legends and dreams and nightmares, is that it's always been full stop. After a bit,
drunk on unreality.
That's right. Yeah. After a bit, and probably, when I say a bit, we're talking about at least an hour and some change of walking down the same hallway, you begin to be jump scared by doors. And what I mean is that as you're walking down the hall, it looks from every conceivable angle as a hall. There's no doorways anymore. There's no windows. Surely there's no light fixtures even. Light just kind of is. Very loud wallpaper has become the same, repeating over and over. But then doors begin to show up in places that you didn't think doors could. You see doors show up between the wall and the floor, and then when you go to open them, you see that they're just the floor. maybe even the ceiling. You keep going, and then as you look to your left and right, as you walk down a long hallway, these doors start appearing as if they're surprising you, as if they're being made as you walk. That would be a much nicer way to consider the maze that you are in, that it was some grand design. Maybe some of you think that. Maybe it's easier. But after what feels like at least 3 hours at this point, maybe even 5 or 6, you hear this sound, or lack thereof, of Meridian jogging. You look up, he's jogging not far to a series of what should be pictures or paintings, frames on the wall, a couple of frames on the wall. They are pretty grand in comparison to the wallpaper, and the only wall decoration you have seen at any point while you have been wherever you are. Meridian gets there, and taking liberties, I hope you'll allow Meridian, I would imagine that he arrives and does something along the lines of, fuck, because these are black and white photos of people framed on the walls, on the wall. They portray an odd arrangement of people staring into a camera. Their faces are mostly blank, some micro features, but mostly blank, all in kind of 1930s, 40s, 20s garb. And they're all holding bottles, different kinds of bottles in different designs on the wall. There is on the lip of the photograph, or kind of on the frame, there's a nameplate, and each one is engraved with the name, with a first initial and a last name, is what you assume. I would be happy to describe to you what each of them look like. Is anyone going to be taking a note about this, or like writing it down in some kind of journal you've got with you or whatever?
Yeah, Merchant will grab his notepad and start.
Okay, super.
Finally, a clue, something.
Yeah.
When you say that the faces are mostly blank with some micro features, do you mean micro expressions, or do you mean they're literally featureless?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I mean micro expressions. Thank you. They've got, they have facial features. They have, noses and dimples and mouths and all these things, that like eyebrow movement, all that shit. But they don't have any expression on there. They're kind of just blank and bored. I'll send you a message with this information. Here is what each of the bottles and people look like. The first photograph it depicts a small, dark-haired Caucasian man folding golden spectacles. He's dressed in a velour purple robe. He's got pajama pants and slippers on, all purple. The bottle in his hand it looks like a milk bottle, but an older milk bottle, and a small one, like a very small child's milk bottle. It's kind of cloudy with age, probably. The photograph next to that one, a thin, pale Caucasian man with oversized, forever yellowed teeth. He's got this little shit-eating grin on. You can see he's got just a little bit of teeth exposed. He's got this tight-fitting red uniform, and he's got a little stitching on his chest that says Elmer. At the bottom of his frame, I forgot to mention, the bottom of this frame says E. Lassette. The name on the last one, the smaller, dark-haired Caucasian man, was A. Darabandi. The third photograph has a tall, thin, middle-aged man. He's in an older-looking suit. It doesn't fit him well. He's unwell. He's kind of got the skeletal gaunt thing going on. Looks generally malaise. He's got a very small, unremarkable medicine bottle. It's probably early 1900s type medicine bottle. And you can see that there's something embossed on it that I'm not going to make you roll for it. It says Morph Sulfate. And that one, the name tag is J. Linz. The next is E. Mosby. It's a tall, thin man, middle-aged. He's got the G-man kind of style suit, very nice, very pressed and proper, looks good. He's got a dim smile, kind of knowing. He's got a brochure that's actually kind of hanging out of his pocket. All you can see is maybe a lake or a sea or a pond or something, like a blackened kind of body of water, one or two rowboats on it, and then the end of what you assume is a word, and it's RCOSA. That's hanging out of the pocket. His bottle is a simple stainless steel flask. He's got a couple of scuffs on it, no markings. The next is D. Carver, an attractive, darkly complexioned woman in her early 30s. She's got a brown glass jar with a black plastic metal, can't tell, lid. You think maybe you've seen or heard of that as being used for candles or for like home remedies, lotions, rubs. There is the next one. Sorry, just to be clear, I'm guessing that Meridian is not really as involved here. Maybe just glances at them once or twice and then pulls security or moves somewhere else. Is that correct?
He, I don't remember. Does Meridian know about the picture of the hotel?
Oh, the picture of the map of the hotel?
Map of the hotel.
I don't think so, but that would be a question for Merchant. I don't know. What do you think, Merchant? Did you share that information?
Yeah, Merchant certainly, when he said, "Hey, is this where we are?"
Sure.
Showed everyone the photo and
Yeah.
was kind of like, "Is this map out here?"
Mm-hmm. Meridian will ask Merchant, that picture. Can I see it again?
Yeah. Of course. Kind of writing notes, puts the notepad aside, fishes for the photo, hands it over kind of absent-mindedly, and gets back to writing everything that he's seeing on the photographs.
And he'll put his thumb on the bottom right of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Says JL bottle. Merchant. This J Lin. I think it matches what's on the picture here. JL.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, JL bottle.
Yeah.
Hey, Merchant will flag the others over as well.
Okay. You gather.
I mean, Reed gathers as much as Reed can gather right now. He's there.
Ignore the map, but JL bottle is on this diagram Meridian found. Or Meridian showed me.
Is there like another corridor? Like it would make sense if I look at the map that top left, it would go sideways?
Roll. Nah, don't roll. No.
And these bottles are they displayed or they're just in pictures?
The people are each in the photo, they're holding them, each in different ways. They're all not like choir holding or like whatever. They're all different.
Okay.
But none really seem of note. Like there's nothing super fancy. They're all just holding them.
And Jalen's bottle, by way of reminder, the bottle that Jalen is holding.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's a small medicine bottle. That's early 1900s medicine bottle. It says, it's embossed and it says morph sulfate. If anyone has medicine, I'd be happy to let you roll.
Yeah, medicine at 60.
Sure, and roll.
With a roll of 30 under 60.
Certainly is morphine sulfate, which was fairly common in the early 1900s for pain relief, especially
Merchant will share that with the group.
Especially as a tincture, which is likely what was in this bottle.
Yeah, he's holding painkiller, morphine sulfate.
Mm-hmm. Old school, like everything else here.
You said you rolled 30, is that correct, Merchant?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. I'll throw you this bone too. You kind of put together in your brain, being the medicine man that you are, I guess, you realize all kind of at once that the reason that Linz maybe looks so gaunt and skeletal, he could be a drug addict. He's got a really pockmarked face and seems to kind of be missing meat from his face. Like he's got this kind of sunken in, very sickly look about him that it looks like his clothes are just hanging on him, that often drug abusers would wear. And laudanum and morphine sulfate, opium, all these things were pretty metal, as the kids say, and pretty widely abused in the 30s and 40s and 20s.
So clutching on to this moment of historical fact that makes this whole thing feel real for a second, that will suddenly animate Merchant.
Nice.
And he will run up to the photo. So, y'all, look up here. So he's holding the bottle and he's... look at his face. He bears the distinct marks of prolonged drug abuse. I think this photo is highlighting his addiction. This is not simply, this may have been prescribed at one point for some kind of medicinal purpose, but he is well beyond that point. And whatever JL bottle on the map, if that does in fact map us to him, we are clearly looking at someone who has battled years of addiction and is absolutely, look at him. He's nearing the end. This ties some of these things together. I don't know what it means per se, but
Libby taking all the liberties,
right?
Libby taking all the liberties as a handler. As you finish your soliloquy, you realize that no one is around you. No one's looking at you. You're just kind of chatting with yourself, and you look. And the other three are fixed in gaze, likely some kind of concern or worry on their faces, as they're looking at the next photograph. They all look ghostly white, maybe? Would Merchant like to take a look?
Sure thing.
The next photograph is a thin young man with curly red hair, and he's got these bifocal glasses. He has a hospital gown or hospital pajamas underneath his tweed jacket, sitting in a very, very large chair. He is the only one who is smiling with his teeth, overtly. He has what looks to be a much different kind of bottle in his hand. It almost looks like a box. You can't see. He's kind of farther away from the photo, or from the photo taker rather than the others are. Looks like a small black box that has maybe a rim at the top. You're not sure what kind of bottle that is. It's concerning, but who knows? Not the most concerning thing, certainly. The next photo...
You just hear Reed just mutter under his breath. That's the asshole from the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy from the video.
Thanks, I should have put that out loud. The next photograph is of a fat man in a silver robe. You'd gather he's probably in his 50s. Portly indeed. He's carrying a plain white mask. And the robe that he's wearing, the silver robe that he's wearing, almost looks plasticky. Or maybe some kind of very crunkly fabric. He's got an unlabeled wine bottle with a cheap synthetic cork shoved back in there. The glass is cloudy, like it's sat in a basement for years. And the thing that you all realize, because of course I knew this and just forgot to mention it, as you look back at the photograph of the guy you've seen before, you look for his name. And the name on that one says Gary Topchick. I'm glad we all remembered. That's good.
And the one to the right?
H. Lundeen. Then, the final photograph, the crowd favorite. They're standing, and the only one who seems to have had his picture taken without knowing, standing in a park. You see that there are two what look to be average size, average height people. Looks like they're moving away from each other in the picture. They're both walking kind of separate directions. And there's a bottle that's been thrown out on the path as if to lazily include it in the photo, to make it a portion of this moment. As if the person who is the subject would not have just held a bottle lackadaisically or for any good reason. So they decided to get this photograph of this person and this bottle. They had to take some liberties, go to some leaps. And you see that the facial features of the person who is one of the people walking away, a well-dressed man, you can see the side profile of Merchant.
What the hell?
Is it labeled?
Yes.
And what's the label say?
It says A. Shoemaker.
Wait, no.
And
what is this?
The man who is walking away is an African American male, dressed quite in the same style, I would say.
There's no way. No one else was there. What the hell is happening?
No one was where?
Here! Do you see it? That's me!
I see it.
Do you think that is Merchant interacting at all with this picture, touching the frame, feeling the painting, or sorry, feeling the photograph rather?
He is standing right in front of it, just tugging on his own hair, and dropped the chemical agent is on the ground now, and he is just wrestling with his head. How can this photo exist?
Mm-hmm.
How did it get here? Mm-hmm. Why does he keep showing up in photos around that of things that shouldn't be happening? He is absolutely beginning to spiral once again.
Yeah.
Reed instinctively reaches to stop him from pulling at his own hair.
Merchant jerks away and just puts his fist through the photo.
Fantastic. When your knuckles touch the frame, the photo, you hear in a near silent whisper that no one else hears, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God."
No.
Roll sand.
Oh, hell yes. 93 over 64.
Okie dokie. You may lose 1 sand now, please.
Love that journey for me. Not you. You can't be here anymore. Leave me alone. You can't be here. Punches the photograph again until it tears.
That photograph is torn.
And again. It just starts tearing it off the wall.
That photograph is torn at this point. Very well. Still not. Is your goal to make it torn beyond recognition, or is your goal to? Is there a goal?
To get it off the wall.
Okay.
Like just start tearing big chunks off. Grab the frame off if I can.
Okay.
And just tear this thing off the wall.
The frame does not come off the wall. The frame definitely is stuck there, but the photo is terrible. You have a not a very difficult time spending maybe 20, 30 seconds tearing it to shreds. And now you're in a hallway, still lost, together. 2 of you having fairly decent traumatic experiences relived. So I think that the hope meter is probably pretty close to rock bottom.
With tattered frames, a tattered photograph all over around him, Merchant takes 3 deep breaths, breathing in for 4 seconds, out for 6, picks up his chemical agent, pockets it again, does a stretch. I think we should keep going.
I agree. This place is trying to fuck with us. It's showing us shit. We need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, wherever that is.
Is there anything behind that picture?
No.
No, okay, just a wall?
Correct.
And there's nothing else in this room but these pictures?
Not even a room. You're still in the hallway.
I mean, okay, so, yeah, okay.
Yep. You've got options, and those options are go forward or go backwards.
If there's no glass in the frames and they're pretty tightly secured, Miranda steps up to the row and looks along them and then pauses at the one that's labeled Gary Topchick, the guy from the TV in the hotel, and she pulls out like a small pocket knife and uses it to cut the photo out of the frame and sort of folds it up and tucks it into her pocket.
Okay. Got it. You've got it. Anything else we want to do or lament about before we continue?
Meridian will get his bayonet knife out of his boot and we'll say to the team, well, since we're already starting to vandalize shit, we'll start to cut at the picture of JL and take it out, because it's got to mean something to him.
Yeah. As you begin cutting into that picture, that photograph, you see that behind the photograph, which I don't know if I mentioned before, the photographs are fairly large. Certainly, I don't know, a couple of 3-4 feet. They're pretty big. As you cut at Lynn's photograph, you realize that there's something behind the frame. There's a room behind this picture. And in the room behind this picture, there is what appears to be a table. I say it that way because it seems like more like a medical table, like it's got some restraints on it. The room is pretty nondescript, same wallpaper, same thing. The only thing that's different about this, there's no door, there's a medical table, and there's a man who is currently restrained to the medical table. And the part that probably makes Meridian jump through the photograph is that the man on the medical table is his father.
Yeah.
Cool. You hop through, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, you all see Meridian chopping at the corner of this J.C. Lynn's photo, and then all of a sudden bashes through. Just all the way through, you now see that he's running into a room, and there's a man who is tied down, restrained to this table, medical table.
What the fuck?
The non-Meridian among you, that means Millstone, Merchant, and Miranda, you don't see a person that looks like Meridian. You see a mid-30s, well-dressed, business suit-wearing man who seems to be maybe mumbling something to himself. But Meridian, you see your father wearing some dilapidated clothes that are stained and worn and breathing heavily on the table, mumbling to himself. I think it's clear that Meridian goes in this room and is going to begin to help who he thinks is his father. The three of you, what would you like to do? Would you like to run in there with him? Would you like to clamber in? Okay.
Bringing up the rear, but following, yeah.
Okay. Millstone?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you and Miranda fight for the rear.
Yeah.
You get into the room. Meridian, your dad's there. He can't see you, it seems like. Maybe he hears you come into the room, but he's keeping his eyes closed for some reason. But I'm assuming you're saying things like, Dad, or you're talking to him. What would you be saying right now? Like what?
Being like, Dad? What the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Let me get you out of here.
He hears you, and as you run up to him, you see that he's got the the padded handcuffs around his hands that connect to the table, same for his ankles, and it seems like he's got some kind of odd noose that is wrapped around his neck, and you can't see where the end of the noose is. It runs under the table and to the bottom of the table somewhere. You're not sure, but as you get over there, and he opens his eyes and he sees you, and he says, "Oh, son, oh, son, help me! I can't. They're choking me." And as that happens, you see the noose start to like get tighter and pull toward the edge of the table, creeping, and you see it rolling up over your father's neck. We'll pick you in a second. Hang on one sec. The three of you also hop in the room, and you go up, and you see that Meridian is saying, "Dad." The man at the table, again, does not look like Meridian. And the man says, he's like, "Oh my God, I'm Vega. I'm me. I'm Vega. Help me out. I gotta go. I can't. They're keeping me trapped here, man. I don't know what's going on." And he's just freaking out. You don't see a noose around his neck. Notably, you see his hands and his feet that are all tied up or handcuffed rather to the table. Meridian, this is happening fast. Your dad is like probably no more than 30 seconds away from lifelessness as this noose is tightening quickly.
Yes, so if the noose isn't budging by me pulling on every side of it, it's going to be a straight cut with the bayonet.
Okay. You're going to try to get under it and cut it with the bayonet?
Like, right? Just under his neck and
try to cut it?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Go ahead and roll. I guess roll luck. Actually, it's not really as much about whether you can do it, get there, or manhandle it enough. It's like, is there going to be time in these next 30 seconds to get the angle you need and not also slit your dad's throat?
20.
Great.
Under 50.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you see an opening, and you quickly take it. You see there's like a little gap, and you quickly take it. You shove your knife under there, and you just rip. The noose breaks, and as it does, the floor begins to open, and your father begins to be pulled downward into the darkness below. Now, the thing that happens for the other three of you is quite traumatic. I know we have a content warning at the beginning of the show, but if we ever had a second one, it might need to go here. What you all see is Meridian say, "I will help you, Dad," or "I will save you, Dad. Don't worry, I'll save you, Dad." And the man's like, "I don't know who the fuck you're talking to. I'm Vega." Meridian then just jabs every single inch of his knife into this man's neck, from the front all the way to the back. You hear the knife thud against the medical table as it went through and through. The man at the table is just shocked beyond belief, as are all of you. So I'm going to have all of you except for Meridian roll sand for violence.
It's my second crit fail of the evening on a sand roll. 77 over 59.
Okay.
47 under 59.
Nice.
76 over 63.
So the ones who succeed, we put a little checky check mark next to violence.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't forget to be adapted, folks, if you are adapted. Those of you who failed or critically failed, you lose 1 in this situation, and those who succeeded lose none. So, all of you now, however, are sharing an experience, and that experience is this person on the table retracting into the floor quickly, and probably, not to take too many liberties, but probably the hurried actions of everybody to get these handcuffs and leg restraints undone. Is anyone not doing that? Is anybody trying to maybe staunch the bleeding, or do you want to say something to your dad, perhaps, Meridian?
Yeah, I'll be like, where the fuck have you been? Where? You left me alone. You left me with that piece of shit and Mom. Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, son. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here too. God, you saved me. God, just go ahead and cut my ankles out. Use your knife. Cut my ankles out. Don't worry. Just go ahead and go cut them now. Quick, cut the ankles, quick. And you see that he's kind of pointing to his ankles.
Miranda goes, fucking hell, Mill, grab him, stop him, do something.
Meridian's eyeing the man's Achilles tendon.
Jesus Christ.
Merchant is reaching for his first aid and just doing something to try to stop the bleeding.
Okay.
I'll roll first aid, medicine, whatever.
First aid.
Millstone's going to rush up and grab Meridian around the neck and just try to pull him back. I mean, this guy's huge, but he's going to do what he can to just use his weight to get him away from that table.
Okay. Got it. Merchant, roll. Where's your roll?
12 under 60.
Okay. Cool. You staunch the bleeding. He gains maybe a couple of hit points back. We'll have Meridian and Millstone make a contested athletics. Give me them rolls.
How much you got?
60 over 50.
23 under 80.
Yikes on bikes. Millstone giving as much effort as the poor man can at this point in time. Runs over, grabs you. You just shake him off real easy. You're kind of sad for him. It's kind of pathetic. And you cut your dad's feet out. You get him free. All the rest of you, as you can probably imagine, witnessed the excruciating moments of both of this man's Achilles tendons being chopped in front of your eyes. Another sand roll, if you will.
36 under 58.
29 under 59.
0, 0,
Oh,
0.
that's 100, bro.
That's 100.
That ain't great.
That's the most criticalist of the criticals.
That's
Thankfully, this
You've
is
only heard of it of legends.
this is thankfully one of the times when it's not as bad as it could be. So those who fail lose 1, those who don't lose 0. I will say that Merchant is probably pulling back from any assistance that he was willing to give. I think he's probably disengaged at this point, as it's just a bloody mess. No one should have to see this.
yeah. Merchant is confused as to I just saved the guy, and you're what are you doing? But the way that plays out is he just slumps back, dejected, taking a couple steps back from the table.
Mm-hmm. Blood everywhere. There's, ligature is hanging out. I mean, I won't go too deep in detail. It's terrible. It's horrendous. And the table's moving faster and faster now, and all of you kind of realize as you're just standing there in shock at the 2 gruesome events that just took place in front of you. And you realize that the table is almost all the way through the floor. Meridian, you've got maybe a few more seconds to say something to your dad. You're not going to be able to cut him out at this point. You know, it couldn't have worked. It couldn't have worked. But you've got time. Do you want to say anything to him before he leaves you again?
It's like, no. Oh, you can't fucking do this to me again, man. Come back, Dad. Come back.
As this person goes further into the floor, that the people who feel horrified are certainly not necessarily only Meridian. The last words of the poor man that the 3 of you saw, he says, "Oh my God, I'm Michael Whitwer. I'm a DEA agent." And he goes all the way into the depths now, out of view. The man who has a plane ride approaching in about 20 years has made his way into the blackness beneath.
The man who just had his throat stabbed.
Yeah, probably a decent time to roll sand.
It's becoming a recurring theme in this episode that I'm not sure I'm a fan of.
I think
I'm
our
going
fans
to get you guys adapted to violence right away.
Nah, 61 over 58.
Love that for you.
007 under 61.
That's a 90. 90 over 59.
And we'll have you make one too, Meridian. But yours is for helplessness, not for violence.
All right.
Well, wouldn't these all be for helplessness?
Correct. Or unnatural, I suppose.
I'm going to go helplessness.
88.
I'm pretty sure I need to watch back the raw footage. I think I'm adapted at this point.
Okay.
If all of those were for violence, I've failed 3 sand rolls
right.
for violence. So
we acknowledge
I'm
that our
adapted
product
now.
is sometimes a little rules light, but we never skimp on the drama.
88 over 61.
F in the chat for my friend Adam. Certainly one of the most traumatic events that's happened to you, likely ever, but certainly in the past week, has just transpired. I think for all of you especially. Because even those that did not see the gruesome hacking and blood, all that, Meridian, you saw your dad who was gone, come back and then go away. You had the chance to save him. But again, you failed. Now, as you all kind of just stand in shock and awe, you look down into the maw, the abyss, and you see there's a pale face, a couple of eyeballs, and a pale face look up at you. An impossible distance away, they stare up at you. It seems like, and again, you have no way of knowing why or how or if it's even possible, but you hear the sound of crying, echoing in a way that you feel is almost inhumane. The sound that humans are so trained to hate, to notice, the guttural cries, sobs, they're just bouncing off the walls, up at you, all around, continuous. And I think you all identify with it. I think that at this point, the majority of the group has gone through what would probably be life-changing experiences. I think that, again, the Hope Department is fresh out of stock. I suppose only up from here, though, the more positive among you, perhaps.
Maybe.
Perhaps. They're now, I mean, on the bright side, there is now a door that you can see in this room that you could probably exit. There is no hole in the wall that you came through. It's gone.
Yeah, Millstone's going to do that, and he's going to, as his lips clear the entryway, projectile vomit.
Are any of the others going to, I guess, what are you going to do? No suggestions from the handler this time.
Meridian's just on his knees looking at the hole itself and just feels completely defeated in terms of losing his dad yet again.
That hits hard, man.
Yeah.
Because you could have saved him. What about the most innocent of bystanders? The other two of you that are probably covered in blood and guts. Why don't we hear from Merchant first?
Merchant, hearing the projectile vomiting, is not going for the door, but just staring at Meridian, and finally Meridian, you just butchered that man. What were you doing?
Trying to save him. He's still here. Thought he was dead. He's still here.
Who? Did you know that man?
Yeah, I did. I do.
You know Michael Whitwer?
Who?
Michael Whitwer. That's what he said his name was.
No.
You cut him to pieces.
I didn't cut nobody.
Look at me.
Where'd the fuck you go?
I was trying to stop the wounds that you inflicted. You stabbed him in the neck, and you chopped his Achilles tendon off.
No. He had a noose around his neck, and he was tied to the table. I cut the noose. The table was going through the floor, and I cut his restraints off. I was about to go to his arms, but it went through. I couldn't save him in time. I didn't hurt nobody. I didn't hurt nobody. Not again. Not again.
Noticing the fragility of the moment, Merchant's going to give in and let him have a comforting lie. No, you didn't see it. He was already pretty far gone. Look, I'm covered in his blood. There's nothing you could have done.
Where do we go next?
Let's get out of here.
We need to hear from Miranda.
Miranda watches the exchange between Merchant and Meridian for a little while, just a minute or two. Then she moves to the door and, carefully avoiding any spots of vomit that she can see, steps out, walks around the corner, looks for Millstone, walks over to him.
He's collapsed against the wall, head between his legs again.
You breathing okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
All right. Good. Step 1, breathing. Step 2, moving, right? We're going to find Karun. We're going to get out of here. We're going to write a report. We're going to forget about this, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Forget about it.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy, right? It takes work, learning and unlearning, right? Same as anything else, but we'll do it. I mean,
To have
we
your
really-
mind.
Listen, I know that 10 years from now, I'm going to wake up in a cold sweat seeing what I just saw. I know that whenever I feel something, the rain, melting snow, sticking on the cuff of my leg, I'm going to think about a man in a gas mask. I know that all of that is unescapable, but it is also not every moment. You know that. I know you know that. I know you've had horrible things happen and you know that those don't go away, but they're not everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to find something good to scrape out of this miserable place. We're going to find a way out of here, and we're going to close whatever door this is so that no one else has to deal with what you and Meridian and Merchant are fucking going through, which is fuck, man. I know. I don't know, but I get it. Okay?
I already know what that thing is. And God willing, she's waiting for me outside here. So we need to leave.
Yeah.
We need to leave now.
Typically, on This Line is Insecure, we end with a cliffhanger. That's not a privilege that I'm going to offer the players this week. They are deep, their characters are deep within the hopelessness of chaos. And we'll see next week if they can make it out. So there.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Suck it.
No cliffhanger.
Yeah. No cliffy for y'all.
No cliffhanger. No.
Oh man.
Yo, it's from
What?
That was a lot right there.
Yeah. It's time to bid our adieu. Thank you everybody for sitting with us through that incredibly harrowing and emotional episode.
the big one.
We really appreciate you coming this far with us, and yeah, just thanks.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Libby, as always, or most of the time. And I don't know. See you next time.
Peace, y'all.
All right. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.
Peace, y'all.
Adios. Peace. Peace out, Girl Scout. Before we sign off, I want to take a moment to talk about something very close to my heart. This podcast is about exploring darkness and fear, but in real life, those feelings can be overwhelming. I want to remind you that if you're feeling lost, lonely, or struggling, you don't have to face it alone. There are people who care about you and want to help. If you're in the U.S., you can call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, for free, confidential support 24/7. Wherever you are, there are resources and there is hope. You matter and your story matters. We'll see you all next week.